Recording.
Namaste, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday. I want you to just take a deep breath for a moment and see if you can tune into the love that is always in your heart. If you want, maybe you could even put your hands over your heart and see if you can feel that divine flow. The love in my heart. That mighty sun that's burning bright, even when I'm challenged. And to realize that this is my refuge, this love, this light. Love in my heart is my refuge, and it's my comfort as well. This is my comfort. It's what allows me to rest in God. We talk so often about that, resting in that experience of oneness, of love. This is my comfort. So today's daily word is comfort. And we hear the love in my heart is my comfort. So we're going to share that this morning, as we have been every day, first in song, and then we will go ahead and share the daily word itself. So let me bring this up on the screen. And as always, just follow along. I'll sing the first part several times. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. Join me in that. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. Every time we sing that, it's like it gets emblazed in our minds, so that throughout the day, whenever I'm feeling uncomfortable, I can remember this. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. All right, see if you can follow this part now, and then I'm going to have you join me. The love I feel in my heart is my refuge, beloved. My refuge is love alone. See if you can sing that. The love I feel in my heart is my refuge, beloved. My refuge is love alone. Back to the beginning. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. No matter where I find myself, my comfort comes from love alone. Love sing that again. No matter where I find myself, my comfort comes from love alone. Love leads me to my home. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort, it comes from love. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. One more time. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. My comfort comes from love. Only love. Only love. The love in my heart is my comfort. The love I feel in my heart is my refuge. No matter my circumstance, my comfort is in the love that sustains me through all things. Once again, no matter my circumstances, my comfort is in the love that sustains me through all things. Like a warm blanket that shields me from the cold, my love shields me from life's occasional harshness. I accept the seasons of loss and pain that visit everyone at some point. I do not shrink from any sadness I feel, because the love I feel, or the love of God, is greater and more steadfast than anything I may be called to face. The love that comforts me is also mine to share. It is the love in the kind word, gently spoken. It is the love in the tender touch and the patient, listening ear. The love in my heart calls me to respond with compassion, to take comfort and to give it, assured of its healing gifts. And from Jeremiah, the Lord appeared to him from far away. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, I have continued my faithfulness to you. So let's sing that a few more times. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. The love in my heart is my comfort. My comfort comes from love. Only love. So I hope you are feeling comforted in the feeling and the experience that love is the only foundation that exists. Only love. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies what? The peace of God. The peace of God rests in the understanding, the experience, the deep, true knowledge that only love is real. You can call it whatever you want. Some people call it God. I call it love. You know, for me, God used to be this, for maybe many of us, God was this being, this everlasting, eternal being, an old white man. That cracks me up to think that God could be an old white man. Somewhere, who knows where, beyond all of my comprehension. In fact, one of the things that I used to love to do when I was young is my mom and dad told me that God has always been, this old white man has always been and will always be. So I would try to understand that intellectually. I would try and in my mind keep going back. No, before that, no, before that, no, before, keep going up. And then at some point in my attempt to understand everlasting or never beginning or never ending, I would feel this, it's almost like when you eat ice cream too fast and you get this weird buzz in your brain. Yeah, that's what it was like. And so I would try and do this intellectually because it would cause this stir inside me because I couldn't do it. The mind can't do that. But it wants to. The mind, the intellect, so desperately wants to conceive of what cannot be understood. It wants to understand what God is, who God is, where God is. And the truth is, you can't do it because God is everywhere. God is everyone. God is everything. God is love. You heard my famous saying many times, I don't believe that there is a God. I don't believe in God. I believe in only God. That's all there is. The closest that comes to me is the Force or just love. And that's my comfort. It makes me feel comfortable to know that I'm never going to get it, but it will get me if I allow. If I can just keep falling back into that comfortable pillow, or like the lesson says today, that warm blanket that covers me, and let that be enough. Let that be enough. I think that's often our dilemma is it's not enough. I want to do this on my own. I want to figure this out. No, just let the comfort be enough. Let the resting in God be enough. Let that silent pulse that we feel inside our own hearts be enough. And when we do, when we allow that, life gets so, I was about to say easy, and easy is not the right word. Maybe gentle. We still have to go through things, as that lesson also said today. There are still going to be situations, events in our lives that are challenging, but we move through those challenges with an ease and with a grace because we are comforted by love. We move through anything that befalls us because we are comforted by love. We know that that's all that exists and nothing else exists. And herein lies the peace of God. So today is a day just to rest in that and let it be enough. I don't have to create that brain freeze in my mind by trying to keep going back or keep going this way. God will always be, God will always be, God has always been, until my brain freezes up. Just drop it all together and just rest in God. This is a challenging time. We have several new people here today sitting in front of me. One of them, Josephu, who you guys will meet in a moment, was telling me as we were walking down here that he lost 7 friends to COVID, including his mother. That's challenging. That's something that we have to move through, for sure. But if we can just keep falling back into that comfort and that knowing and that deep experience of love, yes, of course, we'll feel grief. Yes, of course, we'll feel the loss, but there is a quality within that experience that lifts us above it, even when we're feeling it. I can't explain that any better, but I think most of you know what I mean. You still have to move through it, but there is always that buoyancy that lifts us above it, a buoy, even when we're moving through those challenges. The love in my heart is my comfort. So we're going to turn to two people now who I know feel a lot of love in their hearts, and that's Victoria and Theodore. Call you by your proper names. Vicky, good morning to you.
Good morning, James. Proper name. Good morning. Good morning to love. And remember, James, it's Wednesday, so it's Family Share Day. So,
We actually did it yesterday because you guys were
okay.
we
Oh,
thought
that's good.
maybe yesterday would be a good day to do it.
Oh, that's good. Well, of course, I love the theme that we're using in the song because if we get preoccupied with love, depending on love, living in love, keep focusing on love, redirecting ourselves to that, we don't have time to be busy interfering with it, with our thinking, and with our whatever may be going on in our lives. And right now, I may have made a mistake that keeps popping up in my head. So I've been doing just this. I go back to love and say, please, whatever the situation is, give me through grace and love the redirection I might need.
Vicky,
Or
are you telling us that even you make mistakes now and then?
James, it happens with all of us here in time. And then it haunts me. So, but any trying to figure out what to do is the problem as much as perhaps the original mistake. And I know that because the rush to try to solve something is the running away from love. The willingness to drop into it and wait for the direction or wait for the unfoldment, that's how love operates through grace. So I'm right on that threshold, James, this morning. I'm waiting and putting all my attention there so I don't get distracted with trying to think up any other alternatives that would be really the interference. So love is the way, literally the way. And everything else is an interference. It's that simple. Doubt, questioning, judging, figuring it out, those are all the interference. No matter what we've done, good or bad, mistakes or not, love is the natural corrective. It's the Tao, the flow. God, it's that warm blanket that lifts us all back up into that comfort zone where it isn't our thinking that's taking care of us anymore. It's the force that runs through us and all of life that we've rejoined. And we rejoin it like we rejoin the Father's will. We rejoin it when we don't interfere with it and come wholly empty hands. Here I am, mistakes and all. Here I am. Take me. Show me your way. Thank you, James.
Well, Vicky, I'm so glad you started off in the way that you did because it shows us that we all move through these same challenges. And some people may think, well, Vicky is so enlightened. I'm sure she never has a separating thought or a challenge. And the truth is we become more and more adept at dropping them and releasing them. Yes, we do. But they still come. The challenges still arise within us, and sometimes they catch us no matter who we are, but we get more adept at dropping them and coming back to that comfortable feeling that we experience in love. And this points very directly to something that I think is very important, which is that I and Vicky and Teddy and we are all more valuable when we can be on the same level and people can see that we're moving through these things as well, as opposed to the one who wants to be above everyone else on the pedestal and act as if that never happens. I don't think that's very valuable. the one who likes being on the pedestal is probably the one who should not be there. Has always been my feeling. It's more important, it's more helpful when people hear what you just said, Vicky. So I'm really glad that you shared that.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, dear.
So Teddy, how about you today?
So I can't remember exactly. You were looking for a word before, and I think the word you were looking for is simple. Things get simple when it's in the singular nature of there only being love, because that's the answer. And the truth of the matter is, the answer takes many shapes and forms when we require one. But the simplicity of turning to that for the answer, or turning to God for the answer, allows us to see. And this, to me, is one of the benefits of seeing the way I do. In a sense, we're seeing backwards to the end. So all things have already occurred, and the solution has already been applied, accepted, and the answer has been given to all. So the solution to all of our problems has already occurred, and the challenge is to accept what's given rather than to try to delay the time in making up answers that never really occurred, and dealing with thoughts in our mind that, basically may have no relationship to what it is we're trying to do. So I don't know, but I do understand that things get simple and we beat ourselves up. It's not that we make mistakes. The mistake is beating ourselves up over what has already occurred, and not being able to accept it because we don't know. There's a statement in the Course and it says, all things work together for the good. That means even the problems that we think we have are cooperating somehow and in some way for us to learn of the good and the true. And that takes a minute because we think because there's some sort of contradictory feeling in ourselves that something has gone wrong. When actually, when we experience those contradictory things, it's just a sign that it's time to admit that we don't know and we need to learn. And that's what we're all here to do, learn. We're all learners. I don't know, that whole level thing. It's about acceptance and the total acceptance of what we are as whole and perfect and real and what God is as love. It always comes in an instant, and anything can be used to allow that instant to occur. So the fact that people are dealing with things on different levels, it's just an attempt to solve the problem in a way in which delays time rather than allows the solution to come in the immediacy. It talks about the immediacy of salvation. All our problems can be seen as a delay in salvation. And in the allowance for the answer, the immediacy is of us being saved from our own thinking shows up. And I don't know, that's just, I sort of have to laugh at Vicky for the problem she thinks she's having. But, and I don't want to get into why, but it's just really curious on both sides of the problem. So, and you got to laugh when you think of it as stuff. So I don't know. I'm just grateful, that we get to join, that we come together and talk about things that are of concern to people, and share our, in 12-step program they talk about strength, hope, and recovery. We're here sharing our strength where we get it, our hope in the truth, and the recovery from the problems that we had where we learned of our strength and the truth. So that's a blessing in and of itself. So thank you.
Thanks to both of you. In fact, speaking of simplicity, let me make this really, really simple. Let me reduce it to the simplest answer. You already won.
Right.
It's over.
Gotta change
what we're doing right now is we're playing the clock out, right? But the truth is the game's over. We already won. It's kind of like, because I'm looking at Rod here, I'm going to say, imagine that the Bears are playing the Lions. And let's say that my friend, or let's say I have recorded that game. And while I recorded the game, there was 2 minutes left, and the Bears were down by 10, and somehow they scored a quick touchdown. Now there's only 1 minute left. They do an onside kick, and then they score another quick touchdown with 5 seconds to go. So I know now that the Bears have won the game, right? And I've recorded it. Now my friend comes along who did not watch the game, so he doesn't know how it ends. And he's a Bears fan, of course. And he shows up at my house and sees that I'm watching the end of the game. I'm watching the replay. The difference between the two of us is that I know that the game is over. And he comes in, and now he's really worried. He thinks, oh no, the Bears are going to lose it. Relax, the game's over. But look, there's only 2 minutes left. They're down by 10. Relax, the game is over. You've already won. The difference is that we're watching something that already happened. The game was already won. Love has already won. You have already won this. That means you can relax. You don't have to worry about anything. Only love is real. So I've always liked that analogy. You know, I think, you know who I think it was, Teddy? I think it was Amazing who first used that probably 25 years ago back at Endeavor Academy. That always stuck in my head, and I always liked that analogy. The game is over. You won. We're playing out the clock. Love has conquered all. And that's very comfortable, very comforting to know that. So that's what we live today. And I'm hoping that you heard something from Vicky, from Teddy, from me that just clicked, made that click into place. Maybe it was just knowing that Vicky has a challenge today. That alone may help you be more comfortable. All right. So here's what we're going to do now. Let's take a nice deep breath. And knowing that not only have we already won, but that our prayers have already been answered. Whatever we lay upon the altar has already been answered. So we allow any prayers or petitions that we have on our minds to come to the surface. And we're going to share them with that knowledge and with that language. For example, if I'm praying for my brother Kenny, who, as many of you know, is in rehab now. He had a minor stroke last week. If I'm praying for Kenny, I give gratitude and I feel gratitude for not the knowledge that Kenny has already been healed. He is recovering beautifully. And so I lay that perfect recovery upon the altar because I know that it's done. He won. So I'm going to invite any of you who have a prayer now, starting here with those in front of me. If you have something that you would like to lay on the altar, please say it out loud and I'll repeat it. And any of you who are in the Zoom room, just begin typing them into the chat and I'll read them off. So let's begin here at Namaste Village. Is there anyone who has a prayer that they'd like to lay on the altar? Yes.
I have a prayer for my friend Max that he find the truth in his own heart to recover from alcohol.
So we are feeling and knowing that Lori's friend Matt has recovered perfectly from alcoholism and is feeling the comfort of love now as his only source. We lay that upon the altar. Anybody else? Yes.
I want to lay my knees.
Mm, mm. Carol is laying her knees, knowing that they are perfect just the way they are. There is no pain, there's only comfort and strength in her knees. Anybody else? Yes.
Michael's kidney stone.
Oh. Bethel's husband, Michael, is recovering perfectly from kidney stones, and he is able to rest in God and feel the comfort of love. We lay that upon the altar. Anyone else? Okay, let's go to the Zoom room and see what prayers we have here. Okay. So Joyce is seeing her friend Mara, knowing that she has overcome all challenges and she is experiencing her wholeness now. So we lay Mara and that experience on the altar. Paul is seeing the perfection in his friend Ziggy. Calico is placing on the altar her willingness to extend love in whatever is placed before her. Alice is giving thanks that Ben has come back into his holy right mind. It is happening right now. So we pray for Ben. Diane, for all of those who are grieving, that they become strong and that they are feeling the comfort of love now, because that is our foundation. And Linda is laying her sister Chris on the altar. She has already been healed and she rests in God. Paula is placing herself, her holy, perfect self upon the altar. Paulina is knowing that divine guidance and peace has come to Lawrence. Sharon is allowing the transformation of the thought of that something is wrong to know that only love is real. There is nothing that could ever be wrong in love. For Mary, her shoulders and all of her sorrows are placed upon the altar and are already healed. Caldeve is placing upon the altar a prayer from Rumi which says, "This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. Welcome and entertain them all. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from above." Thank you, Rumi. Thank you, Akaldev. From Storm, Storm knows that he is in alignment with all the technical devices and is safe from invasive challenges. We know that this is already true. And Leslie knows that her brother is perfect and whole on his birthday today. And Ginny knows that her daughter, Nikki, has been perfectly diagnosed and is totally healed in this moment. And Marlene knows that a family member that is having a hard time with COVID in isolation has already been healed. And Judy knows that Jean is already healed from her stroke. We all are able to place these people, these beloveds, upon this altar to experience the comfort of love now and forever. And we say together, and so it is. And so it is. So thank you, my dear beloveds. As always, what a beautiful way to begin our day. We'll be back again. Oh, Renate, did you want to lay something in particular on the altar? I see you have your hand up. Okay. All right. Renate's up the hill. Well, let's take a deep breath. And before we go, once again, just feel the comfort of love today. Love is our only comfort. It's all we need in any challenge, anything that occurs. Love comforts us. Love allows us to rise above it all, to be the buoy that lifts us above these waves so that we may see clearly and to know that love is our divine source now and forever. So we're going to go ahead and end with our prayer of protection. Let me pull that up. So here we go, everyone. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yes, all is well. We love you all. Namaste.
Namaste.
I love you, everyone.
Namaste.